So today it's a lot of great news for those of you that are waiting for the Apple iPhone 13. We've got more confirmations of specs and design, and it really is looking like the phone that we've all been waiting for. Before we get started though, please like the video if you're an Apple fan, and let me know in the comments what your most wanted iPhone 13 feature is. So the first story of the day is about the pink iPhone 13 that's been surfacing the web this week. It was tweeted by Peng Store, the online phone retailer, and they say it's a pink iPhone 13 Pro Max and that it's coming in December 2021. Now the color is apparently rose pink, and rumors like this have been going around for a while, and I guess the purple iPhone 12 has given them momentum. Of course, there's no way to verify this, but the way I see it is it's nothing more than a Photoshop, and with zero evidence to back it up, I really can't believe it's true just yet. But let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comments. Next up, we've also got news about a smaller Face ID on the iPhone 13, and I think it's going to make the phone look that little bit more refined. Last month, we had plenty of leaks for the new screen protectors, and for once, they were actually in high quality images. A new report from DigiTimes further backs them up and gives us some detail into how Apple are actually going to achieve this on the iPhone 13. Now, according to DigiTimes, Apple plans to reduce the chip use for Face ID scanners by up to 50%, not only giving it more room, but it's also going to allow Apple to integrate more functionality into the chip. Now, unfortunately, they didn't offer any insight as to what this functionality might be, so we're going to have to wait and see. But this reduction, along with the relocation of the cool speaker above the sensors, has made for a great reduction in the overall width of the notch. We also have high hopes for Touch ID coming to the iPhone 13, and I know it's something that many of you wanted. Maguire Wood advised that Apple is working on an API that allows developers to use multi-factor authentication, and that both Face ID and Touch ID are going to be viable options. He stated before that Touch ID made the final cut for the iPhone 13, although he also points out that it doesn't guarantee it's happening, but it means Apple have approved it. I'm still trying to get further information on this, but as we approach launch, hopefully a prototype or a test model is going to surface soon and give us some insight. Now, one thing that does seem certain is 120Hz displays on the Pro models, and I know a lot of you out there wanted to see it on the smaller models as well, but it appears it's not going to be happening. While not everyone wants the large models, the smaller ones are more affordable, so they do unfortunately have to make compromises somewhere, meaning it's only the iPhone 13 Pro and the iPhone 13 Pro Max that are going to have 120Hz. But overall, I think the iPhone 13 really is going to be successful, and I think it has some good improvements. Many are complaining that it's too similar to the iPhone 12, but we have to realize that they can't just completely redesign the phone each year, and if they are to deliver a smaller notch, 120Hz and Touch ID, then personally I see it as big hardware upgrades, not to mention the power of the new A15 chipset. Early rumors of it being called the iPhone 12s also seem to have died down for a bit, but we'll continue to refer it as the iPhone 13 for now. For those of you that, like me, are excited for the iPhone 13, we're now going to run through the specs, design, and the expected pricing for the whole series. For the regulars, you guys have already seen this, so just skip to the next video, but if you are new here, then consider hitting subscribe and we'll get right into it. So to start us off with, we've got the entry-level model, the iPhone 13 mini. Although there were low sales on the predecessor, reports suggest that we're still going to see a 13 mini, but it may be the last time. Now, the iPhone 13 mini is a 5.4-inch phone with an OLED Super Retina display. It's expected to have a resolution of 2340 by 1080, and this will give us 465 pixels per inch. We only get a 60Hz display on the mini, but we still get a thinner notch with the cool speaker moved to the top. With Apple continuing to prove that huge amounts of RAM are just not required, it should be equipped with 4 gigs of RAM and a choice of 64, 128 or 256 storage. We're expecting another aluminium frame to reduce cost, but the body will look similar to that of the Pros. Of course, we get the selfie camera on the front, and the iPhone 13 mini comes with a dual camera setup on the rear. There's going to be a 12 megapixel wide angle and a 12 megapixel ultra wide, and the layout has changed slightly with the lenses now diagonal to each other, and it will of course ship with iOS 15. Now, for those of you that want the 4GB RAM with 64GB storage, it's likely launching at a price of $700. For 128GB, it's going to be around $750, and for 256, it will be around $850. Now next up, we've got the iPhone 13. The iPhone 13 is going to have a 6.1-inch OLED display with a resolution of around 2532 by 1170, giving us 460 pixels per inch. Again, we only get a 60Hz display and no LTPO technology, but we do get a reduced notch up top. We expect 4 gigs of RAM along with a choice of 64, 128 or 256 gig storage, and the iPhone 13 is going to have an aluminium frame. We're expecting a 12 megapixel wide angle and a 12 megapixel ultra wide, giving us a dual camera setup, and the iPhone will of course ship with iOS 15. For the 64 gig model, it's expected to be $800, for the 128 it's $850, and for the 256 it's $949. Next up, we've got the iPhone 13 Pro coming with some big improvements over the predecessor. The iPhone 13 Pro is expected to come with a 6.1-inch OLED display with a resolution of 2532 by 1170, and this gives us 460 pixels per inch. It's not only going to be brighter, but it's also going to be using LTPO technology and provide us with a 120Hz variable refresh rate, and it's still going to be capable of 120Hz at its full resolution. The A15 is more than capable with iOS, so we expect them to stay with 6 gigs of RAM, and it's going to come with a choice of 128, 256, 512 and maybe even 1 terabyte of storage. Because this is the more premium model, we're expecting a still frame on the iPhone 13 Pro, and of course we're getting a quad camera setup. This is going to be a 12 megapixel wide angle, a 12 megapixel ultra wide, a 12 megapixel telephoto, and of course the additional LiDAR scanner. The phone will of course ship with iOS 15. When it comes to pricing, we expect some small price increases with the new display technology, so we're estimating for 128 gig it's going to be $1,050, for 256 gig it's going to be $1,150, for 512 it's going to be $1,350, and if there is a 1 terabyte version, it's likely to be around $1,500. Now finally, we've got the iPhone 13 Pro Max. The iPhone 13 Pro Max is coming with a 6.7-inch OLED display with a resolution of 2278 by 1128, giving us 458 pixels per inch. Again, it's going to be a brighter display using LTPO technology and provide us with a 120Hz variable refresh rate at its full resolution. We can expect 6 gigs of RAM, a choice of 128, 256 and 512 storage, and if the leaks are true, then we could see 1 terabyte. Because this is the most premium model, we expect another still frame on the iPhone 13 Pro Max, and we're also getting a quad camera setup. Again, it's going to be a 12 megapixel wide angle, 12 megapixel ultra wide and a 12 megapixel telephoto, along with the additional LiDAR sensor. The phone will of course ship with iOS 15. When it comes to pricing, we expect some small price increases with the new technology, so for 128 gig it's likely to be around $1,150, for 256 it's going to be $1,250, for 512 it could be around $1,450, and if 1 terabyte happens, we could see something huge like $1,600. So that's it for the whole iPhone 13 series. The launch is expected to be in September, and although there have been many delays across the industry this year, reports suggest that the iPhone 13 is not affected. While no date has been confirmed yet, it's likely to be the 14th of September, so it's not too much longer to wait. Of course, as always, I'd like to know your thoughts in the comments. Who out there is excited for the Apple iPhone 13, and what feature do you want to see the most? But thanks for watching the video. If you liked it, smash a thumbs up. If you didn't, hit the thumbs down twice, and I'll see you guys in the next one.